Well, here I am at church. I got here right on time, but they had already started praying. It was for people who fasted, I thought. They were fasting and praying for the evangelistic series that's coming up. Well, I guess I'll just go over and see Religulous at the theater right across the street. I think I have time for a quick kombucha. The one thing about kombucha, well, not one thing about kombucha, is that it's worse than coffee for sending me to the ladies' room. So I'm going to test out a theory that if I eat a lot of salty popcorn, it'll help. I'm also learning that there's no such thing as a quick kombucha. I mean, this stuff was meant to be savored, not guzzled. My only hope is to sneak it into the theater. I also have to admit that I feel a little strange. I mean, I was going to wear this black shirt that I had on today. You might have seen it in the alpaca llama video, but it got alpaca fur all over it, and so I had to change, and this was the only long sleeve thing that was handy, my little believe shirt, and I thought it was appropriate for Sabbath, and so I changed into it, and then I remembered, oh, I had kind of wanted to go to that Religulous movie, and now I thought I'm not going to change. I'm not going to change just because I'm going to that movie. It's the next day, and I'm still wearing this shirt because I only wore it half a day yesterday, and basically half a day today, so it's not really that bad. And I did sneak in the kombucha, but I did confess and offered to pay the price of a drink, and they said not to worry about it, and so I'm not. And when I had gone in there, I had already read a review of the movie, and the reviewer basically said that Bill Maher would have achieved what he wanted to achieve a lot better by not poking fun so much or laughing behind people's backs so much. And that led me to believe that he had an agenda. Probably the verbiage about, achieving what he wanted to do. And I thought, though, that I would go in and see for myself, and I think that he did have an agenda. It's entirely impossible to avoid bias. But I have seen, the person has bias, but I have seen the subjects treated pretty fairly. For instance, I read a book called Reviving Ophelia, and the author was a very tolerant person. I guess you would call it tolerant of alternative lifestyles, homosexuality. She spoke of her own experience with religion as an adolescent, how she read a book that made her question her faith. Gave me the idea that she was an atheist. But when she interviewed these different adolescent girls to give profiles of different families and situations, she interviewed this one who was a conservative Christian. She came from a very strict conservative fundamentalist Christian home. And the father, if she didn't come out and say it, the author described him to be chauvinistic, and there were very traditional roles for the husband and wife. And the author said that she did not know how such a home had produced such a poised, confident, emotionally and psychologically healthy adolescent girl, but she had to admit that it had. And I respected that. That gave me confidence in most of what else she wrote, because that she was being fair with it. Bill Maher admits in this film that there are a lot of nice people in church, and he doesn't understand why they have to believe in religion, otherwise being so rational and so nice. And he did thank a group for being Christ-like instead of what Bill Maher calls Christian. But he did not come out and say or seem to acknowledge that it was these people's way of thinking, their beliefs about Jesus and the Bible, their religion, that made them such nice, Christ-like people who were so tolerant of someone that disagreed with them. It was so kind to that person that disagreed with them. And I think that that's because it definitely would have watered down his evidence and his argument toward his conclusion, which is that he wants to eradicate religion completely. And I sat down and tried to think of the logistics of this, and I see that he has a lot of problems achieving this, not the least of which being not acknowledging all of the factors in the equation, all of the components of it. If indeed, even privately, he does not acknowledge that religion, some people's religion, can make them good and tolerant and kind to people who disagree with them. he's not going to behave appropriately towards that group of people.